Bachelor Daisy Kent reveals BF learned nasty things about her. September 21st, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News. Fans know that things change a lot when you move in with someone. However, this is something Daisy does not think Thor was going to figure out. She knows that she is the one with the nasty habits. There is a lot to unfold and uncover when it comes to this. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. Daisy Kent doesn't find her forever on The Bachelor. Daisy Kent was on Joey Graziati's season of The Bachelor. Fans loved her dearly as she was genuine and sweet. However, she did not end up with Joey and knew before the final decision that she was not going to be the one he chose. This hurt her, but it ended up working out in her favor. She ended up rekindling with her college sweetheart, Thor Herbst. The two have been doing great together ever since they started dating again. Daisy did turn down the opportunity to be the Bachelorette, and this seems to be a good decision on her end. She reveals her boyfriend learned nasty things about her. Daisy Kent has revealed that her boyfriend, Thor Herbst, has had to learn some nasty things about her since they moved in with each other. Honestly, I'm probably the one who has more nasty habits. Kent jokes to people, "I'm messy, but I'm clean." Do you know what I mean? I think he's just he's so kind and caring towards everyone, and there's not anything that he wouldn't do for other people. Fans are shocked to hear that Daisy is the one with bad habits. However, this is something Thor had to learn to deal with. However, Daisy seems to be happy and in love with Thor. It seems as though Daisy knows she has some nasty habits. However, this is not a deal breaker for Thor. She claims she is messy, but also clean, and a lot of fans know what she means. Daisy has been a fan favorite since her time on The Bachelor. Fans love seeing updates on her relationship as she seems happier than ever. What do you think about this? Are you surprised that Daisy is the one with nasty habits? Sound off in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts on this situation. When Daisy Kent first stepped onto the Bachelor stage, she seemed untouchable. With her radiant smile, sparkling eyes, and a charm that felt both authentic and disarming, she instantly became a fan favorite. America leaned in when she spoke, drawn to the sincerity that seemed to pour from her every word. She wasn't just another contestant hoping for love. Daisy had a story, one that involved resilience, heartbreak, and a strength that made millions root for her. By the time she reached the finale, viewers had already invested their emotions in her journey. But reality TV endings rarely translate smoothly into real-life fairy tales. What fans didn't know back then was that Daisy's biggest test wasn't competing with 30 other women for roses. It was the quiet, unexpected test of love that came later. A love where the cameras had stopped rolling, but the drama hadn't. Daisy's post-Bachelor life was full of noise. Interviews, brand deals, fan events. But among the whirlwind, she met someone different. Her new boyfriend wasn't from the world of reality television. He wasn't chasing likes or hoping to be cast in the next spin-off. He was ordinary in the best way. Steady, warm, a man who preferred quiet nights in over the chaos of flashing cameras. He saw Daisy for who she was. Not Bachelor Daisy, but Daisy, the woman who sometimes forgot to do laundry, loved late-night Taco Bell runs, and sang off-key in the car. For a while, it felt like a true escape from the constant scrutiny. Finally, she could breathe. Or so she thought. In the honeymoon stage of any relationship, flaws often hide behind the haze of infatuation. But as weeks turned to months, Daisy's boyfriend began to notice things. Not about Daisy directly, but about the way people reacted to her. Strangers whispered in grocery stores, old friends slid into his DMs with cryptic warnings, online forums buzzed with speculation. It wasn't long before he stumbled across stories about Daisy, unflattering, cruel, sometimes downright fabricated. Nasty things. The kind of things that once seen are hard to unsee. It happened one evening after dinner. The table had still had half-eaten pasta bowls and Daisy had just poured herself a glass of wine when he looked across the table, hesitation flickering in his eyes. "There are things people are saying about you." he said softly. Daisy froze. She had lived long enough in the public eye to know that things never meant compliments. What things? She asked, her voice steady but tight. He hesitated, then said, They're nasty, and I need to hear it from you. There they were, the internet's cruelest whispers, now sitting like poison on their dining room table. Daisy isn't as sweet as she seems. She used people to get ahead on the show. She ghosted friends when she got famous. She wasn't honest about her past relationships. She pretends to be humble, but she's calculated. Each accusation cut deeper than the last, and though Daisy knew much of it was exaggerated or outright lies, what hurt most was seeing the doubt in her boyfriend's eyes. She had worked so hard to build trust, to show him her real self, but the shadows of her Bachelor fame were creeping into her personal life, threatening to undo everything. Daisy had a choice: get defensive or get honest. She leaned into honesty. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I wasn't perfect on the show, and I'm not perfect off of it either. I've lost friendships. I've said things I regret. But I am not the monster people paint me to be. Her voice cracked. You have to decide if you believe me, or if you believe them. It was the most vulnerable she had ever been, more vulnerable than any rose ceremony, because this time, there wasn't a bachelor choosing her. There was a man she loved, holding her future in his hands. The days that followed were messy. Her boyfriend didn't walk away, but he didn't sweep it under the rug either. They argued, they cried. At times, Daisy wondered if her love life would always be a battlefield between truth and perception. But in those stormy moments, something unexpected happened. Her boyfriend started to see through the noise. He realized that the nasty things weren't really about Daisy. They were about envy, projection, and the toxic culture of tearing women down when they shine too brightly. And Daisy realized something too. She could never erase her past, but she could write her own future. Weeks later, Daisy decided to go public, not with a teary Instagram note, not with a PR statement, but with her voice, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic. On a podcast, she revealed it all. My boyfriend learned nasty things about me. Things that were whispered, written, sent his way. And yes, some of it had truth, but a lot of it was designed to break me, to make me small, to make me unlovable. But guess what? He didn't leave. He stood by me. And that showed me something I never saw on The Bachelor, what real love looks like. The world listened. Some criticized, some applauded, but most leaned in closer, unable to look away. The storm didn't pass overnight. Rumors still swirled, trolls still typed, critics still criticized. But Daisy and her boyfriend found something stronger than all of it: resilience. Every time they held hands in public was a silent message. Every Instagram post together was a rebellion against the narrative others tried to write for them. And for Daisy, every step forward was proof that she wasn't defined by nasty whispers. She was defined by how she rose above them. The fairy tale wasn't perfect. It never would be. But it was real. Daisy no longer pretended to be flawless. She embraced her imperfections, owned her past, and celebrated the love that survived the test of gossip and doubt. And as she told fans in one final heartfelt post, if you think love is about finding someone perfect, you'll be disappointed. Love is about finding someone who sees your imperfections, hears the nasty things, and still chooses you anyway. The Bachelor gave Daisy fame, but it was what happened after the cameras stopped rolling that gave her something much rarer, a love that refused to give up even when the world tried to tear it apart.
Stopped rolling. The roses are no longer in bloom, and the glittering chandeliers of the mansion are just a memory. But for Daisy Kent, one of the most talked about women in the Bachelor franchise, The real drama of her love story didn't play out on TV. It unfolded afterward, off-script, raw, and unfiltered, when her boyfriend discovered some shocking, so-called nasty things about her that the public never knew. This is not the usual fairy tale. It's messier, juicier, and far more human, and Daisy herself is the first to admit it. When Daisy left the show, she wasn't holding the final rose. Fans had hoped she might be, but life had other plans. Still, her exit was graceful. She became the woman America couldn't help but root for, the one who was vulnerable, resilient, and real. After the finale aired, Daisy wasn't looking for cameras or headlines. She was looking for peace. She moved back into her cozy apartment, kept her circle small, and poured her energy into rebuilding her life away from the chaos of reality TV. And then came the boyfriend. He wasn't a castmate, not a producer, not a secret fling from the mansion days. He was someone she met after the show, a soft-spoken but confident man who didn't care about Instagram followers or tabloid clout. For Daisy, that felt refreshing. But relationships built outside the bubble of the show have a way of colliding with the shadows left behind. At first, Daisy thought she had struck gold. Her boyfriend treated her like a person, not a headline. He didn't bring up the show every time they sat down to dinner. But as weeks turned into months, the walls Daisy had carefully built began to crumble. Her boyfriend started asking questions, curious ones at first. What was it really like in the mansion? Did you actually fall for the lead, or was it just for TV? Do you still talk to the girls from your season? But soon, curiosity turned into suspicion. He started reading blogs, scrolling through Reddit threads, and watching YouTube recaps that dissected Daisy's every move on The Bachelor. And then came the bombshell. He learned some things about Daisy that she'd hoped would never surface. Daisy admitted herself during a podcast interview later. "My boyfriend found out some nasty things about me, and honestly, I didn't even deny them. They were real. They were me." But what were they? It wasn't infidelity. It wasn't some hidden scandal. It wasn't even about her time on the show. The nasty things were deeper, more personal, layers of Daisy's life that most people would never broadcast on TV. Her struggles with anger. Daisy confessed she wasn't always the calm, collected woman Bachelor Nation saw. Behind closed doors, she could snap. Arguments with her boyfriend revealed a fiery side of her that shocked him. Her health battles. Fans knew Daisy had health struggles, but not the full scope. She admitted to her boyfriend that she sometimes hid symptoms, lied about how she was feeling, and put on a brave face for the cameras while breaking down privately. Her past relationships. Daisy's boyfriend stumbled upon stories from her exes, accounts of jealousy, control, and mistrust. Some were exaggerated, some were raw truth, but together they painted a picture of a woman far more complicated than the polished version seen on ABC. Her insecurities. Daisy opened up about sabotaging relationships before, ghosting people when things got hard, and even picking fights just to test loyalty. She called these her nasty habits, the parts of herself she was never proud of. For her boyfriend, learning these things wasn't just about shock. It was about wondering if Daisy could truly be the partner he thought she was. When Daisy finally sat across from her boyfriend, she didn't sugarcoat anything. "Yes," she admitted, "I've done ugly things. I've lashed out. I've lied about being okay when I wasn't. I've pushed people away before they could leave me. I'm not perfect, and if you want perfect, you should leave now." The confession wasn't dramatic, it was honest. She wasn't trying to save face. She was laying it all out, even if it meant losing him. But something unexpected happened. Instead of walking away, her boyfriend leaned in. He told her the truth. He didn't care about the version of her America fell in love with on TV. He cared about the messy, complicated, flawed woman sitting in front of him, the one who wasn't afraid to admit she had baggage. Daisy didn't keep this story private for long. She went on record, talking about it during interviews, podcast appearances, and Instagram lives. Her exact words during one interview sent shockwaves through Bachelor Nation. "My boyfriend found out some nasty things about me. But that's the thing. Love isn't about hiding the nasty parts. It's about someone seeing all of it and saying, 'I'll stay anyway.'" Fans were stunned. Some praised her bravery. Others speculated endlessly about what those nasty things were, spinning wild theories on social media. But Daisy didn't flinch. She knew the rumors would fly, but this time she wasn't going to live in fear of people knowing her shadows. Still, even with her boyfriend's assurance, things weren't magically fixed. They went through rocky phases. There were late-night fights, awkward silences, and moments when Daisy wondered if being honest had destroyed them. She admitted she sometimes expected him to throw her words back in his face during arguments. But he didn't. Instead, he challenged her. When Daisy's temper flared, he reminded her of the woman she wanted to be. When her insecurities made her retreat, he reached out his hand. Slowly, the relationship shifted from fragile to strong. Daisy began to see that being found out wasn't the end of love. It was the beginning of a real one. Unlike her journey on The Bachelor, Daisy's real-life romance wasn't filled with helicopter rides and candlelit mansions. Instead, it was filled with therapy sessions, messy apologies, long talks, and learning to hold space for imperfection. She called it the anti-Bachelor love story, less about fantasy, more about truth. And strangely enough, it was exactly what she needed. When fans ask why she shared such vulnerable details publicly, Daisy didn't hesitate. Because people need to know that love isn't about being the most perfect version of yourself. It's about being seen in your rawest form and still being loved. If my boyfriend hadn't found out those nasty things about me, we wouldn't have the relationship we have now. He knows the real me, and that's better than any rose ceremony. Daisy Kent's journey reminds us of something the Bachelor Mansion rarely shows: love that grows not from fantasy, but from truth. Yes, her boyfriend learned nasty things about her, but instead of ending the story, it gave them a real beginning. And maybe that's the lesson. Love doesn't mean hiding who we are. It means daring to show it and trusting someone will stay.